Hello there folks, welcome back to another video. In this one we're going to be looking at the new SBG magazine from the folks who have made this possible over the last however many years. This is the fanzine for the Middle-earth strategy battle game, if you've never heard of it before. That basically gives you an in-depth look at the world of Middle-earth through the lens of some avid fans. In this particular one, we're going to be looking at the White Rider, as you can see there at the bottom. So this is very much focused on the Return of the King and Minas Tirith and all that kind of good stuff. And here you can have a little bit of a look of what's inside this magazine once again. So we have the hobby blog, we have another favourite character article, which comes from David Clubley, as you can see there, which looks into Faramir. There's also a painting masterclass on Faramir, and also another diorama, this case from Dave Frederick's one for the Pyre of Denethor. There's also a big new campaign report for the Fate of Osgiliath, which takes you into the Return of the King, as well as another Doctor's Corner, and also a little bit of a look ahead at what's coming up for the Middle-earth Strategy Battle game, and also SBG in the near future as well. So without further ado, let's sort of give a quick flick through this. So you have a little bit of a breakdown of what everybody's been up to, which is always nice to see. Lots of great contributors, as always, from the larger SBG community who've all come together in order to make this a reality. And they really do put their all into it, which is always welcome. And we start with something where we're looking beyond the Fellowship for a favourite character article this time around, which is looking into Faramir and why he's such an awesome character. Now, a lot of people will know, if you're a big fan of Middle-earth, that Faramir gets a little bit of a raw deal, maybe something like that, if you were diving into just the film version of him. In the books, Faramir is a lot more sort of heroic, and there's a lot more done for him. There's even some interesting quotes from Tolkien where he was talking about how the fact that, you know, if he was to be any character in Middle-earth, it was probably going to be someone like Faramir. And I think that's quite a nice little sort of way to dive into this article and learn a little bit more about him. So yes, if you're looking to learn a little bit more about Faramir, both as a character, but also in the game of SBG, this is definitely worth having a read of, because it is a solid article talking about the character and sort of where he fits into things, which is always nice. There's a painting masterclass which looks into the new plastic version of Faramir, which we obviously got with the Battle of Osgiliath box set. So you can have a look at that, see whether or not that is worth having a read of for yourself, so that you can get painting your own minis. And then there is also this Pyre of Denethor diorama, which you can see there, which is very, very nice indeed. Then we have this absolutely massive campaign report for the Fate of Osgiliath, which is once again written in the classic sort of old school White Dwarf style, where you have a whole bunch of really nice broken down turns where you can dive in and follow the action along, as well as really nice photography. One of the things that's always nice about the SBG magazine is the photography is absolutely top notch, as well as their humour as well, which is on the edge of dad humour, I suppose, but you know, it all works in the grand scheme of things, and I quite enjoy it myself. It's the kind of jokes that I would make. So you've got some really nice campaign games being played through here, where we're looking at a couple of different sort of scenarios, essentially. So we've got one where Faramir has to break out, and then there is another one where he has to ride back across the fields, across the Pelennor, back to the gates of Minas Tirith, and you get this lovely double-page spread, as you can see there as well, which is always nice. Definitely have a read of this in more detail and get your own copy of the magazine, which you can get both digitally, I believe, and physically from the folks at SBG. I'll have an email down below so you can go and check that out for yourself and see what you think. But this is definitely worth having a look at if you're excited. There's even a very nice one where they're charging back out to see if things can be turned in your favour, which is always cool. We also have another Doctor's Corner article, and this one is about the sort of change within the SBG community and for the Middle-earth strategy battle game, where we got to see less releases for the game over the intervening years between 2012 and 2018. And also the explosion of the SBG channel, which was the kind of main catalyst for keeping the game alive. I think it's generally considered to be the case. I know that I got back into the Middle-earth strategy battle game pretty much because of the Great British Hobbit League, and also the channel that went alongside that. I remember watching through what Jamie and everyone was working on at the time, and sort of all their fun videos. Obviously, there was the Palantir that was done by Tom and Damien, which was a really great series of videos for you to sit down and just watch while you were painting. You know, something that has then evolved into what we get now with the live stream that they do, that Damien does, where he sort of goes through the painting of miniatures and things to clear the backlog and all that kind of thing. So having a look back at SBG as it was, and sort of where the channel was able to kind of keep things going and growing, I think is pretty awesome. So it's definitely worth having a look through this and reading on this if you want a little bit of a retrospective, but also to relive some of those darker days that then turn into glory days, I suppose you'd say as well. There's also a nice article here by Jay Akaya. I've probably got your name wrong there, I'm very sorry, but you can see it there in the top, which is all about diving into the game and starting to play tournaments, but that then move from being incredibly competitive and building very sort of, I guess you'd say, cheesy, beardy lists towards making something a little bit more thematic that also manages to deliver that killer blow and sort of create something fun and interesting that also wins games. So this was a really interesting one, because it's always interesting trying to work out how you strike the balance between the two. Do you go for something that, you know, really heavily is going to knock your opponent out, taking the best things, or do you try something a little bit different? So that's definitely worth having a read of if you are somebody who wants to learn a little bit more about the tournament scene, and then also sort of where you'd go if you were looking to do something a little bit more thematic as well as something competitive, which is always cool. We also have a little bit of an article at the back, which is all about the launch of the newest edition of the Middle-earth strategy battle game, which obviously came out not too long ago, at the end of last year, with the War of the Rohirrim box set. And this is just a little bit of a look at what Damien's been thinking about and what he's been talking about, and sort of what's been painted and what's coming up from the folks behind the SBG magazine, because the Return of the King may take a little bit of a backseat at some point for some issues which will deal with the War of the Rohirrim and painting up all of those brand new miniatures. So keep an eye out for that one as well. I obviously don't want to dwell too long on all the pages and things from in here, but as you'll see, it is once again a wonderfully fan-created magazine that is absolutely jam-packed with stuff for you to get stuck into. And yeah, I broke this out whilst I was on holiday in Wales. Had this on the table so I could sit down, do a bit of reading, have a cup of tea in the morning before I headed off into the mountains. So it was great to get me inspired to do my own little hobbiting out there in the wild, which is always nice. So yeah, that is the new SBG magazine. That is issue 17 for the spring of 2025. Obviously, we're moving into the summer and the autumn coming up very, very soon as well. So I'm sure new issues are on the horizon. But if you are somebody who wants to get a little bit more out of the Middle-earth strategy battle game hobby, I would heartily recommend getting stuck into the SBG magazine, and of course getting your hands on this one as we look to see the Return of the King brought to life on the tabletop by the wonderful folks behind this. So yeah, definitely give this a look. I will have all of the details down below, like the website and the email and everything, if you want to get your hands on copies of this. Make sure to get involved, and of course anything that goes towards these magazines being sold means more magazines can be made, more issues can be made, more fun stuff can happen, and yeah, it'll just make Tom and Damien's life harder because they'll have to keep making magazines. So I think that seems like a decent thing to do, in my opinion. But yes, make sure to come and check out this issue for yourself. Obviously, if you are watching videos on the channel, make sure to come and check out some of the other ones I've done. You maybe go and see some of the reviews of other SBG magazines if you prefer. I'll have those in the end card probably. Remember to do that whole thing of liking and subscribing and all that kind of good stuff. Comment down below. I like hearing what you folks have to say. But yes, make sure to go and check this out for yourself if you like the look of it. And yeah, I'll see you folks in the next video. Bye for now.